Do you want to know how to support children's emotional development? Well, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communications, and emotions all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about the emotional development of children. In this video, we're going to be talking about what is happening emotionally at different stages of development for children, and then we're going to be talking about what parents can do to help children properly emotionally develop. Years ago, a father came to me and said, you know, Nicholeen, what I love the most about your teaching self-government stuff is that you actually give us all the tools and skills that we need to help our children become emotionally strong. So what does that mean to be emotionally strong? So emotionally strong means that a person understands their emotions, they understand their feelings, they understand how to articulate those feelings to other people, but they also understand what's a productive emotion and a non-productive emotion. And they know when to use certain emotions. They also have skills for how to communicate with other people so that they don't have to be emotional to communicate. So a person should not feel in bondage to their emotions, meaning that they don't feel they can be understood, or they don't feel that they can be complete without giving in to all of their emotions all of the time. That would be emotional bondage. If a person always has to feel offended and react in an aggressive way if somebody does something that's unkind, that person is in a state of emotional bondage. So what would you do then to help your child become emotionally strong? Well, you would teach them the skills and principles that they need for success so that they can handle those circumstances. We're going to be talking about some of those skills today in this video, but first, let's spend a little bit of time discussing proper emotional development. So when a child is young, everything is about attachment to people. When they cannot verbalize much, everything is the looks, the feels, and they communicate their feelings by emoting, right? Some sort of complaint or something, because they don't have the words to say. And so emotions seem to be, for a baby, the go-to, right? And for a toddler, the go-to. However, you can even teach a young child how to properly calm themselves down, how to recognize when they need to take a deep breath or get calm. In fact, there are 2 videos on this channel that my daughter made with her 16-month-old baby about this, where she started teaching her baby at 3 months old how to take deep breaths. And then she also taught her little baby how to disagree appropriately with her when she only had very minimal words to use. So you see Paige tell Clara, "Oh, Clara, we don't talk like that." Clara pauses, and then she says, "Mama," and she tries to seek understanding from her mom instead of whining or complaining like a normal baby would do. So children can definitely be taught how to communicate and what is going to be effective, what is not going to be effective. The thing is that many parents let their children go on that whiny, complaining track for a long time because they don't know that they can teach their children skill development. And so because they don't do simple things like breathe on their hand and call it a deep breath and teach them how to take a deep breath, which Clara learned how to do when she was 3 or 4 months old, then the child is constantly in bondage to the emotions for a time. But when the child is starting to grow, a wise parent, even if they don't teach some of those key things that my daughter is teaching to her child, they can teach the child how to identify what is happening. Oh, do you feel sad? Is this sad? Or, oh, are you happy? Is that silly? Right? They can start teaching the child how to identify the feeling of excitement, of worry, some of those things that a child might be feeling. Then the child can articulate them. Or at the very least, they can nod, yes, that is what is happening right now. That's what I'm feeling right now. And that can help them communicate better to the parent. The sooner we get the child communicating, the more emotionally equipped we can can help them to become so that they end up happier. So the key thing is to teach a child to articulate their feelings. That's going to be a very healthy thing for the parent to do because it is the feelings that come before thought and before an emotion. Emotions are chosen, feelings are not. So it's the thought in the middle that the parent can work with and that the child can learn how to have control over. This creates instant maturity and empowerment for the child. So we're going to talk about how to set this environment up where a child can learn how to think things through in a different way, how to process their emotions in a healthy way, and how to do it with their parents too. But first, do you see that subscribe button? It's got your name on it. It says subscribe to me because if you do, then you get to see more content like this. So subscribe now. As children get a little bit older, they actually are looking for acceptance. So children usually go to their mothers for wisdom, their fathers for acceptance, and once they hit about age 12 or 13 years old, they start looking to father for more and more acceptance. So that is one of their biggest emotional needs. Oftentimes they start looking also to their peers for acceptance, and this can create a very frustrating, tumultuous time of life when they feel like, do I fit in? Do I not fit in? Do I have friends? Do I not have friends? And this is a very normal part of development because of that desire for acceptance that happens right around age 12. So wise parents will show their children that they accept their children at age 12 and 13 and as they get into their teen years. This doesn't mean that you never correct them. This actually means that you would talk to them about things and correct things a little bit more. But you would speak to them in a way that would show that you're not taking any behaviors personally, but instead you are helping them find solutions and problem solve their troubles instead of getting emotional about those troubles. So, do young people cry sometimes? Yes. Do they worry? Do they have anxiety? Yes. Anyone could have any of those things. The key is to help your child know how to get help in those circumstances and how to start down that track of learning how to problem solve all on their own. In this book, Parenting a House United, I talk about how to set up an environment where a person can learn self-government. This means they learn how to give themselves no answers, how to give themselves instructions and follow through, how to disagree appropriately with themselves and others, and how to correct themselves. That's what a mature self-governing adult does. And a child can start to learn the same thing. So when a child is emotionally strong and very emotionally healthy, they have learned how to communicate with other people and with themselves in an emotional way. So many young people will have the wrong kind of dialogue going on the inside, and that's oftentimes because the dialogue that's on the outside of them has been something that they did not understand, or they might have misrepresented to themselves. They start tearing themselves down, telling themselves that they can't do something, or thinking that they have to fight to solve their problems. These would all be internal lies that are usually part of an emotional response to a feeling and then a thought that they had. So teach your children that they might feel something, but it's the thought that comes after it that is so important. Maybe they think, oh, I'm afraid of that, or I'm worried. That might be true, but what else is true? Ask yourself, what else is true? Oh, I've done that before. I might be able to do it again. Or I could try something that seems hard because I could succeed, and I'll feel good about myself if I try, even if I don't do it perfectly. I don't have to be perfect. There are a lot of great productive thoughts that a person could tell themselves after they feel something like worry, or even if they feel something like hunger or fatigue or sadness. There are productive thoughts that lead to productive emotions and productive bonds. And then there are non-productive thoughts that lead to non-productive emotions and non-productive bonds. So what are some of those non-productive emotions? Is anger really productive? Not very often. A person may feel upset, frustrated, even angry, but when they emote it on someone else, does it usually help? No, not usually. But does that mean that a person should stuff their feelings? No, I don't agree with stuffing a person's feelings. I agree with talking things out. But when you are in an emotional place, you can't think clearly, the anger is starting to boil, are you going to be able to talk it out then? No. So the rule in our family is we're going to process all of it. We'll talk about all of it. But first, let's get to a place of calmness. Calmness is the first stop, because that gets us into the prefrontal cortex, which is the perfect part of the brain to do any problem solving. So if your child is having a problem, then you say to them, I can see right now you are worried, or I can see that right now you feel nervous about riding this new ride at the amusement park, whatever it happens to be. And then you say, let's take a moment to get calm. Let's go through your calm plan. And then we'll talk about what you can do to help overcome this nervousness or this feeling of being worried. Do you want to overcome it so that you don't have to feel worried all of the time? You might be surprised that the child would say yes. Now, sometimes the child might say, no, I just want to be worried. And then you can say, well, okay, let's get calm first, and then we'll talk about why you might want to stay worried every time there's something new. And if that's really a choice that you want to make when you're calm. So then you get calm, which means you need a calm plan. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. After you go through the calm plan and you get to a place of calmness, then you can discuss with the child. So let's talk about that feeling of worry. What does it feel like when you're worried? What was the thought that you had right after you felt worried? Well, I thought, I can't do that. I'll get hurt, or it would be too scary. So then you could say, well, what else might be true? That's true. It could be hurt. You could get hurt, or it could be scary. But what else is true? It might be fun. Yeah, it might be fun. Or they might say something like, I might know I could do a hard thing. Yeah, that's a cool thing, right? So talk to them about other things that might be true. They might not be able to think of them on their own, and you might have to help them at first come up with some of these other thoughts that also might be true. Then you'll go to the next step where you say, now based on this thought, what would your action be or your emotion? And based on this other thought, what would your action or emotion be? What do you think you choose to do in the future? Now you can even take this further and do something that I talk about in my Parenting a House United book that is called a SOTAS exercise. A SOTAS exercise is a problem-solving exercise that helps develop the prefrontal cortex and prepares a person to solve their problem in the future. So you might want to coach them through a SOTAS exercise so that they could see the disadvantages and advantages of each of the choices that they might feel like they want to make. If you go to teachingselfgovernment.com, you can also find these SOTAS journals, which help you have the format right there, ready to go, the boxes to fill out with the children so that they can better problem solve and prepare for better emotional responses in the future. And then you can hold on to the book, refer back to them from time to time if a similar circumstance comes up. SOTAS exercises are powerful. In fact, a child truly does feel empowered when they've thought through a circumstance ahead of time enough so that they feel prepared. So let's talk about calmness. Calmness is vital. Remember that stop number one? We have to get to a place of calmness. This video has been long enough, but I do have something that can help you with your calmness. In fact, I have a calm parenting toolkit that you can have for free right now. So there's a link in the description below this video that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. If you click on that link now, it will take you to the Calm Parenting Toolkit and you can have it for free. You will get 10 tools for calmness to help them get calm and you to stay calm all at the same time. So click on that link now. I'll see you there.